The planet was dying. Its skies were painted in dull shades of gray, and the once lush forests had wilted to brittle brown. Rivers that had once sparkled like liquid crystal were now slow, dark, and almost still. Amidst the decay, the grand palace of the alien kingdom stood as a solemn monument to better days. Its spires reached toward the heavens, but even they seemed to sag under the weight of the planet's despair. Inside the palace, chaos reigned in a quiet, tense way. The royal family was gathered around a bed in the heart of the grand chamber. On the bed lay Princess Kalara, her pale skin almost transparent under the soft glow of the medical lights. She had been ill for weeks, and none of the kingdom's advanced technologies or ancient remedies had managed to heal her. "Her life is fading," whispered one of the palace doctors, a tall figure with luminous skin and delicate hands. "We cannot stop it." "Nothing works." Kalara's father, the king, clenched his fists. His wide eyes reflected both fear and frustration. "There must be something, anything, that can save her." His voice cracked, and he turned toward the other advisors. "Have you exhausted every possible method?" "Yes, Your Majesty," replied another advisor, his tone formal but strained. "Every chemical, every energy therapy, every known treatment has been tried. Her condition continues to worsen." Kalara's younger brother, a small and nervous figure, hovered near her bedside. "Is there no hope at all?" he asked softly, almost afraid to hear the answer. The room fell silent, heavy with despair. Then, without warning, the grand doors of the chamber hissed open. A figure stepped inside, tall and human, wearing the uniform of an interstellar humanitarian mission. He looked around calmly, his dark eyes observing the room and the fragile princess with careful attention. "I am Captain Eli Morgan," he said. His voice was steady and warm. "I've heard of your princess's condition. I may be able to help." The room froze. The king's eyes narrowed. "You are a human?" he demanded. "You have no right to enter the sacred chamber." Eli raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I do not seek to intrude, Your Majesty. I come only to offer aid. I understand your skepticism. Your people have advanced medical knowledge far beyond my own. But sometimes an approach from a different species can reveal possibilities no one has considered." A murmur spread through the room. The palace doctors exchanged uncertain glances, and even Kalara's mother, the queen, frowned. "Do you mean to say a human can heal what we could not?" she asked, her voice a mixture of disbelief and hope. Eli nodded gently. "I do not claim certainty, but there is a chance. If you allow me, I would like to attempt it." Kalara's brother looked up at him, eyes wide. "She is dying. If there is a chance, why would we refuse?" The king hesitated, torn between caution and desperation. "Very well," he said finally. "You may try. But understand this, if you fail, the blame will be yours." Eli nodded. He stepped closer to Kalara, his movements careful and deliberate. "Princess Kalara," he said softly, "my species has a unique resilience. Sometimes our energy can stimulate the body to heal in ways other methods cannot. If you allow me, I will try to help you." Kalara's eyes flickered open, weak but conscious. She tried to speak, but only a faint whisper escaped her lips. "Help." Eli smiled gently. "That is all I need." He knelt beside her bed and placed a hand just above her chest, careful not to touch her directly at first. A soft golden light began to glow faintly around his hand. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but enough to make the palace doctors lean closer. The first reaction was almost imperceptible. Kalara's skin, pale and fragile, seemed to shimmer faintly. Her chest rose more steadily with each breath. The doctor's eyes widened, and the queen stepped forward, her hands trembling. What is happening?" she asked. "I believe," Eli said quietly, "that her body is responding. The energy of her cells is being stimulated. It is weak at first, but it may grow stronger." Kalara's brother reached for her hand, hesitant but desperate. "Does it hurt?" he asked. Kalara shook her head slightly. "Warm," she whispered. "Comfortable." The king's stern expression softened, though he remained wary. "This is extraordinary, but I will not celebrate yet." Eli continued his careful work, maintaining a connection without forcing it. Time seemed to stretch in the chamber. Minutes passed, and the faint glow around his hand grew warmer, brighter, though still delicate. Kalara's breathing became deeper, more even. Her eyelids lifted, and for the first time in days, a color returned to her cheeks. A pale but unmistakable pink. One of the doctors, a young woman with keen eyes, stepped closer. I do not understand it, she said in a hushed voice. Nothing in our records indicates this is possible. She should still be fading. Eli's gaze remained on Kalara. Sometimes life finds a way to respond when given the right guidance, he said. Her body is fighting. My species only helps to guide it. Kalara's eyes fully opened, and she looked at Eli with a faint, fragile curiosity. Who are you? She asked. Her voice was soft, barely more than a whisper. I am a human, Eli replied simply. I came to help. And I will stay until you are stronger. Her lips curved in a weak smile. Thank you. The room was silent for a moment, the air heavy with disbelief and awe. Then her younger brother spoke, his voice breaking slightly. She's alive! Truly alive! The king's eyes softened, though he remained cautious. This is miraculous, but human, your methods are unknown to us. How can we be certain this will not harm her? Eli shook his head. I cannot promise perfection, Your Majesty, but I can promise careful attention. No force will be used, only guidance. If she allows it, her body will do the rest. Kalara's mother stepped closer, her eyes glistening with tears. I have watched our best healers fail, and yet, you have brought her color back. You must continue. Eli nodded and allowed his hand to hover slightly closer. The golden glow expanded subtly, connecting with Kalara's energy. She sighed softly, a sound that was both relief and pain as her body seemed to respond with renewed vigor. Her pulse is stronger, the young doctor said, amazed. I cannot explain it, but she is stabilizing. For the first time in many days, Kalara opened her eyes fully. She blinked, taking in the faces around her. The worried family, the anxious doctors, and finally the calm human kneeling beside her. You saved me? She asked, her voice gaining strength. Eli shook his head slightly. Not I alone. Your body is strong. Your spirit is strong. I only helped guide it. Kalara's gaze lingered on him, a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. No one else could do this? The king's expression was stern but not unkind. It seems humans have capabilities we cannot yet understand. He glanced at Eli, then back at his daughter. Be careful, Kalara. This is new. We must proceed with caution. Kalara nodded weakly. I will be careful, Eli smiled softly. That is all I ask. One step at a time. As the first part of the recovery continued, a new sense of hope settled over the room. The royal family watched in awe as the once fading princess began to regain strength. Though questions remained about this human, about the mysterious forces at work, and about what this meant for the kingdom, they could not deny the miracle unfolding before their eyes. Outside the chamber, the dying planet still held its gray skies and wilting trees, but inside the palace a spark of life had returned, and with it, the first glimmer of hope for the future. And in that quiet, fragile moment, Eli Morgan knew that his journey to help this alien world was only beginning. There were challenges ahead, dangers unseen and mysteries yet to unravel, but for now he had reached out and Kalara had responded. Her family gasped, not only at her recovery but at the realization that humanity might be a force they had underestimated, a force capable of touching life in ways their technology never could. For the first time in weeks, there was laughter. Not full and joyous, but a light, trembling sound of relief. And for the first time, Kalara smiled, a small but radiant expression as the human beside her offered nothing more than guidance, courage, and hope. The palace was quieter now, but the atmosphere was far from peaceful. Princess Kalara's recovery had begun, yet tension still lingered in the air. Her family had never faced a situation like this. They were used to relying on their advanced technology, ancient remedies and generations of knowledge, yet here was a human, an outsider, who had brought their daughter back from the brink of death. Kalara lay in her bed, no longer pale and frail, but still weak. Her chest rose and fell evenly, her breathing steady, and a faint warmth returned to her skin. She opened her eyes to see Eli kneeling beside her once again, the same calm expression on his face. You feel stronger today, Eli said softly. How does your body feel? Kalara tried to sit up, and this time she managed it with a small effort. Better, much better, she said, her voice gaining confidence. I can breathe. I feel alive. Her brother, who had been pacing near the doorway, stopped in surprise. You actually look like yourself again, he exclaimed. He rushed forward and gently held her hand. I was so afraid we had lost you. Kalara smiled weakly at him. I am here, she said. Thanks to him. She gestured toward Eli, who nodded respectfully. The king remained seated, arms folded, watching the scene carefully. His eyes, though still cautious, reflected a glimmer of relief. Eli, you have done something no one else could. But I still do not understand. How is this possible? How can a human heal her when all our technology failed? Eli looked at the king calmly. Your Majesty, it is not just me. Princess Kalara's body is strong, stronger than many might think. My energy does not heal directly. It guides the body's own power. Her cells respond to it, awaken and repair themselves. It is subtle, but effective. The queen stepped closer, her expression still a mixture of awe and concern. And it is safe? She asked. No harm will come to her? Eli shook his head gently. Only if we proceed carefully. Her body must do the work. I cannot force it. Any pressure could cause strain. But if she allows it, her natural strength will continue to grow. The young doctor, who had been watching intently, spoke up. It is incredible. I have seen energy treatments before, but none had such an effect. Her vital signs are improving at a rate we could never achieve alone. Kalara's brother beamed, though he remained cautious. So, she will continue to get stronger? Eli smiled. Yes, she only needs patience, guidance, and trust. And I believe she has all three. Kalara looked at Eli, her gaze lingering longer than before. You helped me when no one else could. Why did you care? You do not even know me. Eli paused, considering his words. Because life matters, Princess. Every being, every species, every person has a right to be helped. And because I believed your spirit was strong, that strength allowed your body to respond. Her eyes softened. I never thought anyone would see me this way. Everyone else. They gave up. Eli's expression remained calm, but his tone was gentle. It is easy to give up when you only see limitations. But hope. Hope is stronger than any limitation. You have hope inside you, Kalara. That is why you respond. The princess blinked slowly, absorbing his words. I want to be strong, she whispered. I want to lead my people again. Her father's stern expression softened further, a faint smile forming. That is all I wish for as well. But remember, Kalara, strength is not just in the body. It is in the mind, in your choices, and in the people who stand beside you. Kalara nodded. I understand, Father, and I think I have someone who will stand beside me. She glanced at Eli, who gave a small, encouraging nod. The next days passed in a mixture of quiet observation and careful training. Kalara's body continued to regain strength, and each day she grew more alert and energetic. The palace doctors monitored her progress closely, amazed at the pace of her recovery. Eli guided her gently, showing her how to focus on her own energy and connect with the life force within her body. He taught her to breathe steadily, to concentrate on the flow of energy, and to allow her cells to repair themselves. At first, Kalara struggled. Her body still felt weak and the exercises were difficult, but with Eli's calm encouragement, she began to see results. Her muscles regained tone, her reflexes returned, and her stamina slowly improved. Excellent, Eli said one afternoon, as Kalara completed a simple movement routine. Your body is responding beautifully. You're stronger than you think. Kalara smiled, wiping sweat from her forehead. I can feel it. I can feel my strength returning. It is amazing. Meanwhile, her family watched from a distance. The king and queen exchanged surprised glances. It is truly remarkable, the queen whispered. No one could have imagined this. Her brother nodded enthusiastically. I told you. Humans are amazing. But not all members of the royal court were pleased. Some advisors whispered among themselves, uneasy about the humans' influence over the princess. They had always valued tradition and technology, and this new method was unfamiliar and unpredictable. One of the senior advisors approached the king privately. Your Majesty, this human, he is extraordinary, yes, but we do not know his motives. What if his methods have unforeseen consequences? What if this is not healing but manipulation? The king frowned, considering the warning. I will not ignore caution, but I also cannot ignore results. The princess is alive and improving. That alone proves his intentions are not harmful, for now. As Kalara continued her training, her curiosity about Eli grew. How do humans know these things? she asked one afternoon as they sat in the palace gardens. Eli smiled. We do not always know. Sometimes it comes from observing life, understanding resilience, and recognizing the potential in each being. It is not technology. It is intuition and patience. Kalara nodded slowly, her mind absorbing his words. So you trusted me even when no one else would? Yes, Eli replied simply. Because I saw your strength. You are not powerless. You only needed guidance to awaken it. That evening, as the twin suns of the planet dipped below the horizon, the palace buzzed quietly with activity. Guards patrolled the grounds, advisors whispered strategies, and doctors reviewed Kalara's progress. Yet despite the careful attention, a shadow of unease lingered. Unbeknownst to the royal family, not all were pleased with Kalara's recovery. Some factions within the kingdom had grown restless, believing the princess's illness had weakened her position and opened the way for them to gain influence. And now, with her health returning so quickly under the guidance of an outsider, their discontent grew. Kalara, unaware of the plotting, focused on her training. She practiced walking steadily, her steps growing more confident each day. She stretched her arms, tested her strength, and gradually began to feel the return of her old vitality. One afternoon, as Eli guided her through another session, she paused and looked at him with determination. I want to walk outside the palace, she said firmly. I want to see my people again. Eli considered her request carefully. It is possible, he said, but we must proceed slowly. Your body is strong, but it has not fully recovered. We cannot risk overexertion. Kalara's eyes shone with determination. I understand. I will be careful, but I want to feel the air on my face, to see the world outside these walls. I want to remember why I fight to be strong. Eli nodded, impressed by her resolve. Very well. Tomorrow we will take a short walk outside. We will go slowly, step by step. Are you ready? Kalara smiled faintly. I am ready. That night, as the palace lights dimmed and the city outside settled into quiet darkness, Kalara lay in her bed, reflecting on the day. She had faced despair, weakness, and uncertainty, but she had also discovered hope, guidance, and strength she did not know she possessed. Eli sat nearby, reviewing her progress silently. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, not only because of her body's needs, but because of the political and social forces at play within the palace. Yet he also recognized her potential, her courage, and the spark that would drive her forward. The stars outside the palace windows twinkled faintly, a reminder that the universe was vast, full of possibilities and full of challenges yet to come. And in the quiet palace chamber, the human and the princess shared a silent understanding. Together, they could face whatever awaited them. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new victories, and perhaps new threats. But tonight there was hope, a fragile, shining hope that life could triumph even in the darkest of times. And for the first time in many weeks, Princess Kalara felt truly alive. The next morning, the palace was alive with quiet anticipation. Princess Kalara, now noticeably stronger, was preparing for her first walk outside the palace walls since her illness had begun. The morning sun bathed the palace gardens in soft light, casting gentle shadows across the marble paths. Birds, rare in recent months, chirped hesitantly, and even the flowers, though still fragile, appeared to lift toward the warmth. Eli walked beside Kalara, his hand hovering close enough to assist if needed. Take it slowly, he reminded her. One step at a time. Listen to your body, Kalara nodded. I will. I feel stronger than yesterday. I think I can do this. Her brother bounded up beside her, eager and protective. I'll go too, he declared. I'll make sure nothing happens. Eli smiled faintly. You can walk together. But remember, Kalara, don't push yourself too far. We want a successful first step, not a setback. The princess took her first step outside the chamber, feeling the palace air fill her lungs. It smelled faintly of dew and earth, mixed with the faint metallic scent of the palace structures. She paused, letting the sensation wash over her. It was a reminder of the world she had been separated from for so long, a world she needed to lead. Good, Eli said softly. One more step. Kalara obeyed, her confidence growing with each careful stride. The garden stretched out before her, filled with delicate paths and quiet fountains. The sun glimmered off the water, creating patterns of light that danced across the stone. She had never noticed the beauty of this place before. Her illness had clouded her vision of the world. Now she could see it clearly, and it filled her with a quiet determination. But as she walked, she could feel the watchful eyes of the palace. Advisors and guards lined the paths at a distance, observing her closely. Some looked concerned, some fascinated, and some, unknown to her, were filled with unease. They had grown used to relying on the kingdom's technology and their rigid systems. The idea that an outsider, a human, could guide the princess to recovery unsettled them. Eli noticed their subtle glances and whispered to Kalara, "Ignore them for now. Focus on your steps, your strength, and your body. Everything else can wait." Kalara nodded. She tightened her posture and took another careful step. "I can do this," she whispered to herself. Her brother cheered softly. "Yes, that's it." The walk continued for some time, slow and steady. Kalara's energy returned bit by bit. Her legs grew firmer, her breathing steadier, and her spirit lighter. Even the royal family watching from nearby could not deny the transformation. The princess was regaining not only her health but her presence, the aura of authority that had once inspired her people. But while Kalara focused on recovery, the palace's hidden tensions began to stir. In a secluded chamber, two senior advisors whispered behind closed doors. "This human, he cannot be trusted," one said, his voice low and cautious. "He has influenced the princess in ways we do not understand. What if he controls her? What if he uses her strength for purposes unknown to us?" The other advisor shook his head. "You worry too much. Look at the results. She is alive because of him. Without him, she would be gone. We cannot deny his effectiveness." "Yes, but results do not tell the whole story," the first advisor replied. "We must be cautious. If his presence unsettles the palace, it could weaken our position, and there are those who would seize any chance to challenge the throne." The conversation ended in tense silence. Outside, Kalara's walk continued, and the princess had no idea that her newfound health and confidence had already begun to unsettle certain elements of the court. Later that afternoon, Kalara returned to her chambers, exhausted but satisfied. Eli helped her sit on the edge of her bed, his calm presence offering comfort. "You did well today," he said. "Your body responded beautifully. Each step you take strengthens you further." Kalara smiled, her eyes bright. "I never realized how much I missed walking, feeling the air, seeing the sunlight. It gives me energy, hope." Eli nodded. "Your body and your mind are connected. The more confident you feel, the better your recovery will progress. That is why today was important." Her brother, still brimming with excitement, added, "Tomorrow we can go a little farther. We can explore more of the gardens." Kalara laughed softly. "Yes, but one step at a time." As evening approached, Eli requested a private meeting with the king. They met in a quiet chamber away from the princess and the public. "Your Majesty," Eli began. "Princess Kalara's recovery is progressing well. Her body responds strongly and her spirit is resilient. But I must warn you, there may be dangers we have not yet considered." The king's brow furrowed. "What kind of dangers?" Eli's gaze was steady. "Not all threats are external. Within the palace, there may be those who fear her renewed strength or who distrust humans. They may act against her recovery, even against her life if they see an opportunity." The king sighed deeply. "I have sensed unease among the advisors, but I hoped it was temporary." "You believe it may become dangerous?" Eli nodded. "It is possible. We must ensure her protection while continuing her recovery. Her strength is returning, but we cannot ignore the potential for internal threats." The king considered this. "Then we must watch carefully. I will assign loyal guards to her, and I will personally observe the advisors who show doubt. We cannot risk betrayal." Meanwhile, Kalara lay in her chamber reflecting on the day. The walk had given her new confidence, but she sensed the tension in the palace. Something felt different, subtle but present. She trusted Eli and felt safe with him, but she realized that her return to strength might attract both admiration and envy. The next morning, Kalara prepared for a slightly longer walk, eager to regain more of her former strength. She moved carefully, her muscles remembering movements she had not performed in weeks. Her brother walked beside her and Eli followed close behind. As they passed through the main garden courtyard, a group of advisors watched from a distance, whispering among themselves. Kalara could sense their unease. She turned to Eli quietly. "Do you feel it?" she asked. Eli's eyes scanned the area calmly. Yes, some of them are unsettled by your recovery. It is not your fault, but it is something we must be aware of. Focus on your steps, Kalara. Let your body lead the way. She nodded, taking a deep breath and focusing on her own energy. Each step was deliberate, each movement measured. The golden sunlight fell on her, warming her skin and her spirit. She could feel her strength growing, her confidence returning, and her determination hardening. Suddenly, one of the senior advisors stepped forward from the shadows, approaching the group. His expression was calm, but there was a subtle intensity in his eyes. "Princess Kalara," he said, his voice neutral. "I hope you will forgive my intrusion. I wish only to ensure your continued recovery and safety." Kalara regarded him with cautious curiosity. "I appreciate your concern," she said. "But my focus is on my recovery and learning to lead again. I hope that will be enough." The advisor bowed slightly. "Of course, Princess. I only wish to assist." Eli watched carefully, noting every movement, every expression. He knew that not all intentions were clear, and that the palace's politics were as delicate as Kalara's recovery. He subtly adjusted his position, ready to intervene if necessary. The walk continued, and Kalara's confidence grew. She moved farther than before, her muscles stronger, her balance steadier. The palace gardens, once a place of quiet observation, became a symbol of her return to life, a place where strength, determination, and courage could flourish. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the palace grounds, Kalara paused to look at the horizon. She could see the city beyond, the rooftops and towers glowing softly in the fading light. She realized that her recovery was not only about regaining her body's strength, but also about reclaiming her role as a leader, a symbol of hope for her people. Eli stepped beside her, his presence calm and reassuring. "You have done remarkably well," he said. "Your body responds to your determination as much as to any guidance I provide. Never forget that your strength comes from within." Kalara nodded. "I will remember. I want to be ready for whatever comes next, for my people, for my kingdom." Her brother smiled, proud of his sister's resolve. "And we will be with you every step of the way," he said. As night fell over the palace, the golden glow of lanterns lit the courtyard. The princess, the human, and her loyal brother returned to her chambers, each step a testament to her determination and the guidance she had received. Yet the palace shadows remained, whispering of unrest, jealousy, and potential betrayal. Kalara was stronger, but the journey ahead promised both challenges and victories. And for the first time, she understood that her recovery was only the beginning, a step toward reclaiming her life, her strength, and her kingdom. The sun rose over the palace, casting long golden beams across the gardens. Princess Kalara had grown stronger each day, and today she felt ready to venture farther than she ever had since her illness. The air smelled of dew and flowers, a subtle reminder that life, even on this struggling planet, could thrive. Eli walked beside her, his presence steady and reassuring. "Remember," he said gently, "strength comes not only from your body but also from focus and calm. One step at a time, Princess." Kalara nodded, her posture straight and confident. "I understand. I'm ready." Her brother ran ahead, excitedly pointing to the far end of the garden. "Look, the fountains are sparkling." "Let's go!" Kalara allowed herself a small smile. For the first time in weeks, she felt the thrill of movement and freedom. Each step she took was a victory, a proof of her recovery. Her muscles, once weak and unresponsive, now remembered strength. She felt a connection between her body and her mind that she had never experienced before. Yet as she moved, Eli's eyes scanned the surroundings. He had learned to read the subtle tensions in the palace. Not all eyes that followed Kalara were friendly. Some of the advisors, those who had resisted her recovery or distrusted humans, whispered quietly in corners. They observed her vitality and resilience with suspicion, their envy growing with every step she took. Inside a dimly lit chamber, two senior advisors met in secret. "She is recovering too quickly," one hissed. "If she fully regains her strength, our influence will diminish." "We cannot allow that to happen," the other nodded slowly. "We must act carefully. She is stronger now, but she is still vulnerable. We wait for the right moment and then we make our move." The whispers of dissent had gone unnoticed by Kalara, but Eli had sensed them. He leaned closer to her during a pause in the walk. "Be aware," he said quietly. "Not everyone in the palace welcomes your recovery. Some may see your strength as a threat. Kalara's eyes narrowed slightly. I will not let fear control me. My people need me. I will be ready for whatever comes. They continued their journey through the garden, approaching a secluded fountain surrounded by delicate flowers. Kalara paused to observe the water, its surface reflecting the sunlight in shimmering patterns. She knelt, touching the cool water with her hand, feeling life in its simplest form. It feels alive, she whispered. So simple, yet so full of energy. Eli nodded. Life exists in many forms. This planet may struggle, but there is still strength here, just like in you. As Kalara stood, a sudden commotion broke the calm. From behind a tall hedge, a figure darted forward. It was one of the advisors who had grown impatient with the princess's recovery. His intent was unclear, but his movement was aggressive, fast, and unexpected. Eli reacted instantly. He stepped between the figure and Kalara, his posture firm and protective. "Step back," he commanded, his voice calm but firm. The advisor hesitated, clearly surprised by Eli's speed and authority. "I only had wished to speak to her privately," he stammered. Kalara watched closely, her mind quick and alert. "I will hear your words, but not at the expense of my safety," she said firmly. Eli's eyes met hers briefly, signaling that she should remain composed. The princess drew on her growing strength, standing tall and unafraid. The advisor's presence, though imposing, did not intimidate her. I am concerned about the direction of the kingdom," the advisor said, his voice lower now, cautious. "The princess, your recovery, this human's influence, it may unbalance things." Kalara's gaze was steady. "I am recovering because it is my body's will to live and my duty to lead. Eli has only guided me. My decisions will be my own, not his." The advisor swallowed nervously, clearly unprepared for her resolve. I only wish for the safety of the kingdom, and I share that goal," Kalara replied. "But fear cannot guide leadership. Strength, courage, and wisdom must. Now leave and let us continue our work." The advisor hesitated for a moment longer, then bowed stiffly and retreated. Eli exhaled quietly. "Well handled," he said softly. "Your presence commands respect, princess." Kalara's cheeks flushed slightly. "It is not easy, but I must be ready. My people will look to me for courage, and I cannot falter." Eli nodded. "Exactly. You are stronger than you realize. Today you have shown not only recovery but leadership." The walk continued without further interruption, each step strengthening Kalara's body and resolve. She learned to balance caution with confidence, to move with purpose, and to sense the intentions of those around her. With each step, she grew more aware of the intricate web of relationships and politics within the palace. By midday, Kalara and Eli returned to the palace, their steps steady and assured. Her family observed her progress with pride and cautious admiration. The king approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You have grown stronger," he said, his tone both approving and serious, not just in body but in spirit. "The palace will see you differently now." Kalara met his gaze. "I intend to lead, father, and I will be ready for anything that threatens our people." Her brother added enthusiastically, "And we'll all be with you." "You are not alone, Kalara." But even as they spoke, the shadows of doubt remained in certain corners of the palace. Some advisors whispered among themselves, plotting quietly. The human's influence had awakened both hope and fear, admiration and envy. And as Kalara regained her full strength, they realized that the time to act might soon arrive. That evening, Eli requested a private session with Kalara to guide her further. They met in a quiet chamber, away from the watchful eyes of the court. "Today was excellent," Eli said, observing her movements. "You demonstrated strength, composure, and awareness, but you must also be ready for challenges beyond physical recovery." Kalara nodded, curiosity in her eyes. "What kind of challenges?" "Not all threats are visible," Eli explained. "Some come from those who fear change, who are jealous or insecure. They may act against you not openly but subtly. We must anticipate their moves." Kalara listened carefully, understanding the gravity of his words. "So I must be strong not only in body but in mind as well." "Exactly," Eli replied. "Your recovery has begun, but leadership requires more than strength. You must also understand others, foresee their intentions, and act with wisdom and courage." The princess nodded, determination burning in her eyes. "Then I will learn. I will not allow fear or doubt to guide me. I will be ready." Over the next days, Kalara's training intensified. She practiced not only physical exercises but also focus, strategy, and observation. Eli taught her to sense subtle changes in behavior, to read expressions, and to anticipate movements, skills essential for both survival and leadership. One afternoon, as she practiced walking across a sunlit terrace, Eli observed a shadow move along the edge of the roof. He followed it silently and discovered two palace guards whispering to a senior advisor, plotting something unclear. He did not intervene immediately. Instead, he watched, gathering information to protect Kaylara effectively. When he returned, he instructed Kaylara, "You must always be aware. There are those who do not wish to see you fully recovered. Their intentions may not be clear, but they exist. Awareness is the first step to safety." Kaylara's expression was resolute. "I will watch, I will learn, and I will not falter. My recovery is not just for me, it is for my people, for my kingdom." Eli nodded, pride evident in his eyes. "You are becoming the leader your people need. Strong, wise, and courageous. And soon your full potential will be realized." As the sun set, casting warm orange hues across the palace, Kaylara stood on the terrace, feeling the wind on her face. The journey of recovery had transformed her. She was no longer the fragile princess who had lain in a sickbed weeks ago. She was a symbol of hope, resilience, and determination. Yet challenges remained. The palace shadows whispered, plotting quietly. Forces unknown, both within and beyond the palace, watched her every move, and Kaylara knew that true strength would be tested not only in recovery, but in the trials to come. Eli stood beside her, calm and ready. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges," he said, "but you will face them. Together we will ensure you are prepared." Kaylara took a deep breath, feeling her renewed strength in every limb. "I am ready," she said firmly. "I will not be afraid. I will lead, I will protect, and I will grow stronger with each step." And as the stars appeared in the night sky, glittering above the palace, Kaylara felt the truth of her own words. She had survived, she had recovered, and she had begun to reclaim not only her body but her destiny. The journey was far from over, but the princess was ready. And with a human by her side, she understood that courage, guidance, and trust could illuminate even the darkest paths ahead. The palace was quiet, yet alive with anticipation. Princess Kaylara had recovered fully. Her steps were strong, her posture proud, and her eyes bright with determination. The kingdom had watched her rise from weakness to strength, and whispers of admiration now replaced murmurs of doubt. But the world beyond the palace walls was vast, unpredictable, and filled with challenges she had yet to face. Eli walked beside her as she reviewed the morning's plans. "Today is important," he said. "Your people will see not only your strength but your wisdom. Leadership is measured in action as much as it is in courage." Kaylara nodded. "I understand. I will do my best, for them, for the kingdom." Her gaze swept across the city beyond the palace walls, streets filled with people cautiously going about their daily lives. Many paused to look toward the palace, sensing change, sensing hope. Her brother bounded forward, eager as ever. "The people are waiting! They need to see you." "Let them wait," Kaylara said softly, smiling. "We will go slowly. Every step matters." The journey to the palace balcony where the public would see her was deliberate. Guards flanked her and Eli, silent but attentive, their eyes scanning the streets for any sign of trouble. The palace advisors, some still wary, maintained their positions but dared not interfere with the princess's new strength. When she finally stepped onto the balcony, the crowd below fell silent. Faces lifted, eyes wide with awe. They had heard stories of her illness, watched her decline, and now saw her standing strong and confident. A murmur of astonishment spread through the crowd. Kaylara raised her hand in a simple, measured gesture, acknowledging them. "People of our kingdom," she began, her voice calm and clear, "I have returned. I have recovered not only through the guidance of a friend, but through my own strength and will. Together we will face the challenges ahead." The crowd erupted in cheers. For weeks they had been uncertain, fearful of the princess's condition and the future of the kingdom. Now they felt hope. They saw resilience embodied in Kaylara's presence. Eli stood a few steps behind her, observing. He had seen the transformation in the princess from fragile illness to steadfast leader. But he also understood that her challenges were far from over. The world outside the palace walls was not always kind, and her recovery had not gone unnoticed by those who might wish her harm. Inside the palace, the whispers of discontent had quieted but had not disappeared. Some advisors still feared the humans' influence and Kalara's newfound strength. Yet now, even they had to recognize the power of her presence. To act against her openly would risk their own positions. As the cheers continued, Kalara descended from the balcony, determined to meet her people directly. Eli and her brother followed closely. She walked through the palace gates, her steps confident, her mind focused. People stepped aside, bowing or lowering their heads respectfully. Some dared to offer words of encouragement, their voices trembling with emotion. A young girl approached hesitantly, holding a small flower. "Princess Kalara," she said softly, I am glad you are well." Kalara smiled, kneeling slightly to meet her eyes. "Thank you. Your courage is also important. One day you will see that strength comes in many forms, and it is never too small to matter." The girl beamed and ran back to her parents. Kalara rose and continued through the streets, feeling a renewed connection with her people. Every step reminded her of the responsibility she bore, not just to lead but to inspire. Later, in a private meeting with her family, Kalara discussed the future. "My recovery is only the beginning," she said firmly. "The kingdom must be prepared. We have survived illness and uncertainty, but challenges remain. We must strengthen our defenses, guide our people, and remain united." Her father nodded, pride and relief evident in his expression. "You have grown stronger than I imagined. Your spirit is unyielding, and your presence inspires not only your people but those around you." Eli added quietly, "Princess, your strength has always been within you. I only guided it. The courage, determination, and wisdom you now show are yours entirely." Kalara smiled, grateful. "Then I will use them wisely. For the people, for my family, and for the future of our kingdom." The next weeks were filled with careful preparation and planning. Kalara led meetings with her advisors, oversaw strategies to rebuild weakened sectors of the city, and trained with Eli in both physical and mental discipline. Each day her confidence and capability grew. One afternoon, while walking through the palace gardens, Kalara sensed something unusual. A small group of figures moved cautiously near the perimeter. Their intentions were unclear, but the tension in their movements suggested more than curiosity. Eli noticed it immediately. "Stay calm," he said softly. "Observe carefully. We do not know if this is a threat, but we must be ready." Kalara focused, her senses alert. She could see the determination in the figures' movements, the subtle hesitation. They were testing, watching, not acting openly. It was a delicate situation, and she understood instinctively that leadership required both courage and patience. "Let us approach carefully," she whispered. "We will see their intentions without provoking them." They moved slowly, Kalara leading with calm authority. As they approached, the figures stepped forward, revealing themselves as travelers from a nearby settlement. They bowed slightly, respectful but cautious. "Princess Kalara," one spoke, "we have heard of your recovery and your strength. We come seeking guidance and protection. Our settlement struggles, and your leadership may offer hope." Kalara considered their words carefully. "You have come in trust. I will help, but you must also be strong and united. Together we can overcome challenges that no one can face alone." The travelers nodded, relief and gratitude clear in their expressions. Eli watched closely, noting Kalara's skill in diplomacy and leadership. Her strength was no longer just physical. It was wisdom, calm judgment, and the ability to inspire trust in others. Later, Kalara returned to the palace to review plans for strengthening alliances and preparing defenses. Her family and advisors gathered, impressed by her vision and decisiveness. Even the cautious advisors who had once doubted her acknowledged her capability, though they did so silently. Eli spoke privately with Kalara after the meeting. "You have grown beyond what I expected. Your strength, your courage, your wisdom, it is remarkable. Your people will follow you willingly, not out of fear but out of respect." Kalara smiled, her eyes reflecting both determination and gratitude. "I could not have reached this point without your guidance, Eli. You helped me see my own strength and taught me to trust it." Eli shook his head slightly. "No, Princess. You always had the strength. I only helped you recognize it. The courage, the resolve, the determination, they were always yours." As night fell, Kalara stood on the palace balcony, looking at the stars. The city below was calm, filled with people moving about their lives, inspired by her presence. The challenges ahead were many, but she felt ready. She had regained her strength, her confidence, and her purpose. Eli joined her quietly, looking up at the sky as well. "The universe is vast," he said softly. "There will be challenges beyond this planet, beyond this kingdom. But with your strength and courage, you can face anything." Kalara nodded. "I am ready. Whatever comes, I will face it. Not just for myself, but for my people, my family, and this kingdom." Her brother appeared beside her, excitement in his eyes. "I knew you could do it, Kalara. You are stronger than anyone imagined." Kalara smiled warmly at him. "Strength is not just about the body, little brother. It is also about courage, determination, and helping others find their own strength. Together we are stronger." As the stars twinkled above, the palace felt alive with hope. Kalara had not only recovered, but had emerged as a symbol of resilience and leadership. Her people saw her as a beacon, her presence a reminder that challenges could be overcome, that courage and determination could shine even in the darkest times. The journey of recovery had ended, but the journey of leadership had only begun. Kalara's strength, combined with wisdom and guidance, promised a new era for the kingdom, a time of hope, unity, and courage. Eli looked at her and said quietly, "You have become what I knew you could be, a true leader. Strong, wise, and unyielding." Kalara gazed at the stars once more, feeling the weight of her responsibility and the power of her own determination. "Then we will face the future together," she said firmly. "With courage, with hope, and with strength, nothing will break us." And in that moment, beneath the vast glittering sky, the kingdom and its people felt the promise of a bright future. A future where resilience, courage, and the guidance of both human and alien strength could overcome any obstacle. Princess Kalara had returned, stronger than ever, ready for the challenges ahead. And the galaxy, vast and mysterious, seemed just a little brighter because of her presence.